All right, continuing with our trip down to Miami here. All right, again, we're in Effingham, Illinois for that first night out. And what we want to do is we want to we're on the way to Miami. We've got to go through Atlanta, Georgia. The problem is we're leaving Effingham at, let me double check here, at just at 5:45 in the morning. So leaving at 5:45 in the morning, again, remember there's a time change as we go east. So we're actually leaving then on Eastern time at 4:45 a.m. And it's about 10 hours or so to Atlanta, which would get us there right in the start of the rush hour. So we don't want to do that. So what this exercise, what we're going to be going through now in this next segment, is how to do a split sleeper berth proposition. And again, we didn't really get into that in too much detail on our first class. We'll come back and review it a little bit later on this morning too. And the thing I want to establish right from the get-go with this class is that it's not my intention that you know how to do this. My intention is that you know that it can be done. Okay. Trying to do something here, multitasking. So what I don't want is I don't want that as you go out there in the workplace that somebody comes along and says, okay, let's do a split sleeper berth, and you just have no idea that that can be done. So that wouldn't be good. I don't expect that you know exactly how to do this, but let's understand the premise for doing this, okay? With what we're doing right now, we're going to get into Atlanta when we don't want to because of the heavy traffic, and the heavy traffic is going to slow us down. It's a waste of our hours to do it that way. It's inefficient in terms of pay. So there's a lot of reasons that we don't want to go through Atlanta, Georgia, anywhere really from about 5 in the morning till about 11 at night. So somewhere between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. is ideal. So we're going to use this split sleeper berth option as a way to accomplish that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out where we're going to go from Effingham. And so again, I'm going to use my little application here from Trucker Path to figure out where to go. And I found a pilot travel center in Cartersville, Georgia, which is just north of Atlanta. So let's program that into our route here. We want to go to the pilot travel center, Cartersville, Georgia. Okay, so this is 495 miles, going to take 7 hours of driving. So now what we're going to do then is we're going to go back. Just want to double check real quick here. Yep, we're good there. We're going to go back to our log here, and we're going to start out. So we're heading to Cartersville, Georgia. So the first thing we want to do is start out driving. We've got to do a in-route inspection at some point in time, so we'll log that. From there, we've got to do another in-route inspection at the 3-hour mark, so we log that. So let's say we drive until 11 a.m. Central Time, which is noon Eastern Time. And how about we take our break right now? So we take our half-hour break because that's going to be required. And so we have to log that, okay? So, and again, remember, all of these locations have to be identified. So we've got to figure out where we are and put that down for each location. All right? We're going to be going through Kentucky on our way down. So again, we're going to have to plan this, these locations. We're going to have to find rest stops, find truck stops, that fit into these time constraints of when we're required to do these inspections. So that's real important as we go through this process of finding the correct places to stop. Now, what did I say in terms of the miles here? 500 miles, about 7 hours of driving. So if we go back here, we've got in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours right now, and a quarter. So let's say that it takes us, let me do this with shape here. Let's say we do this until 2:30, okay? Or 2 o'clock, which is 3 o'clock Eastern time. And now we're going to go into the sleeper berth for 8 hours at this location. And this is, again, this is Cartersville, Georgia. All right? Oop, come on, cooperate with me here. Pen's giving me a little bit of trouble here. Let's try it this way. So that's where we're at, okay? All that stuff is, we'll get rid of that. Oops. See if we can bring it back, okay. That's what I want to get rid of. Sorry. Okay, so we're in Cartersville, Georgia, and we're going to do this 8 hours in the sleeper berth. So that's line 2 here. So we're going to go until 10 o'clock in the evening, 8 hours in the sleeper berth. Now, what's relevant to this is, okay, let me put this in here. We started this day at 5:30, okay? See if my pen will work on this page. So we started at 5:30 was our start time, right? So if we add our 14-hour day, then we would end up at what time? Okay, so 14 hours later, it's going to be 7:30 in the evening. And remember, this is Central Time. Okay, I don't know if we're on daylight or standard, but we're at 7:30. And what we did is we stopped at 2 in the afternoon, okay? So we stopped at 2 p.m. And what that does is it takes the 14-hour window and it pushes it 8 hours down the road because we're in the sleeper berth for 8 hours, okay? So then the net result is that instead of 7:30, we're going to add 8 hours to this. And so that's what time? 3:30 in the morning will be our new 14-hour window endpoint. So it was 7:30 and now it's 3:30, 8 hours later, because we've got 8 hours in the sleeper berth, okay? Does that make any sense? Now, we could have done, at this point, we could have done our whole 10 hours off and stayed off until midnight. And then on the next day, gotten up and started driving at midnight. Well, folks, I'm not doing that, okay? I can't go to sleep at 2 in the afternoon, get up at midnight, and then start a 14-hour day. I'm not going to be awake. I'm not going to be alert. I'm not going to be a safe driver doing that. So that's out of the realm of possibility for me. I'm not doing it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to do this split instead, right? So we go into the sleeper berth at 2 in the afternoon. We come out of the sleeper berth at 10 in the evening. And now what we're going to do is we're going to drive through Atlanta, right? So that takes us to midnight. All of this is this same location here in Cartersville, Georgia. Okay. So now at the end of the day, I've got to fill out my log. So I've got to sign the thing. I've got to put in my mileage, and it's about 600. I'll put that in there. And then I've got to do this total hours at the end here. So I've got what? 1 hour in the off duty. I've got sleeper berth. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hours in the sleeper berth. Driving, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 3/4. And then on duty, not driving, 1/4 hour. So, and that adds up to my 24. So I'm good. All right. All right. Now, our next step then, check something, make sure I'm on the right page here. Yep. The next step now is we're going to drive from this place in Cartersville, Georgia, and we want to go through Atlanta. We've got to figure out how many hours we can drive. So we pushed our 14-hour window down. We've got 9.75 hours, which means we've only got an hour and a quarter of driving here. Is that right? So wait a second. I was trying to get, that was supposed to take me, let's say 8 hours. I took too long to do this, didn't I? You know what, I'm going to back this up. Okay, sorry. I'm going to back this up because it didn't take me that long to get there. Okay, so nice thing about technology is I can change this. So this then becomes this becomes 8.5. I'm confusing myself. Bear with me here. I got to figure this out here, okay? So I'm going to stop driving at 9. I'm going to start driving at 9. If I only had 8.5 hours prior to that, this is going to get me through. Now I've got, now I've got, this is what I'm going to do. So this is going to, here's what this is going to look like. I screwed this all up. Okay, welcome back. All right, so we're continuing now. What we're doing is we're on a trip to Miami, Florida. We left on day 1, driven to Effingham, Illinois, stopped at a Flying J there. And so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to Miami, obviously, but we've got to go through Atlanta, Georgia. There's just no other way to get to where we're going without going through Atlanta, Georgia. So consequently, we have to think about what time we go through Atlanta. We do not want to go through Atlanta, Georgia, anywhere between about 5 in the morning and 11 at night. I mean, the traffic is just too congested, and it'll slow us way down, and that becomes inefficient both in wasting our hours of service hours, which limits how much time we can work, and then it also pay-wise, it's gonna. I mean, you're getting paid by the mile. You don't get paid by the hour when you do this kind of work. So you don't want to be bogged down by traffic like that. So major hubs like Chicago and Atlanta, those bigger cities, you want to do what you can to strategize your time. And with Atlanta, we're going through, we're not stopping. So what we want to do is we want to think about how we're going to do this and where we're going to do this, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to use something called a split sleeper berth, all right? Now, we haven't gotten into this yet too much with what we've been discussing previously. Excuse me. And I want to make it clear right from the get-go, I'm not expecting the class here to understand how to do this and be able to do it on your own. The purpose of this exercise is so that you at least have an awareness that this kind of thing can be done, that it is possible to do what we're about to do here. And again, the purpose of this is to allow us to drive through Atlanta, Georgia late at night, okay? With what we're doing now with our log, okay, so we're going to start our day at 5:30 in the morning. We're going to do a 15-minute pre-trip inspection, and then we're going to hit the road. Now, Atlanta is about, let me look here. I can go over to my, Atlanta is about 8 hours away, maybe 9. So let's say that it takes us 9 hours to get there. Well, that would get us there at literally 3 in the afternoon Eastern time. Now, I do not want to be driving through Atlanta, Georgia at 3 in the afternoon. There's just no way. I mean, it just gives me chills up my spine thinking about it. So I'm not doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop early and take 8 hours in the sleeper berth. And what that's going to do is it's going to push my 14-hour window down the road, which will allow me to drive later at night. Because right now, with where we're at, we're starting at 5:30 in the morning, right? So if we start at 5:30 in the morning, that means, just double check something here. So what that means is 5:30 in the morning. So we've got a 14-hour window, right? So you add 14 hours, and that puts us at 7:30 at night, correct? So 7:30 p.m. is when our 14 hours is over based on our start time at 5:30 in the morning. Got that? All right. Now, I want to stop short of Atlanta, so I'm not going to go that long. I'm going to stop shorter than that. So let's start off on our trip here, okay? Let's start heading out. So we're going to go, let's go to about 11. We've got to do that first in-route inspection, then we've got to do another one somewhere along the line, okay? And now let's take our 30-minute lunch break. So we got that out of the way. We'll start driving again. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to stop at a pilot travel center in Cartersville, Georgia, which is just north of Atlanta, okay? So there's Atlanta. And we're going to stop short of that. That's the closest place I can find on my little app. Remember, I'm using this app I have on my phone to find parking spaces, all right? And so I looked at Atlanta, and then I went north from there and found the first closest place that I could count on stopping, all right? So that's why we're going to Cartersville, Georgia, all right? And that's 500 miles, 7 hours in a truck, so, excuse me, 7 hours in a car. So let's take 8 hours in our truck to do that. So we'll go back to this. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to, right there, 1:30 in the afternoon should get me to Cartersville. Let me check my math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.25 hours. So that'll work out fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 8 hours in my sleeper berth at this point. So again, this is Cartersville. See if I can get this in here. Georgia, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to take 8 hours in the sleeper berth. So we're starting at 1:30. That takes me till 9:30 at night, correct? In the sleeper berth. All right. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to drive past Atlanta. So let's figure out where we're going to go there. We're going to get past, so we're going to go down somewhere by McDonough, Georgia. All I want to do is drive through here, right? So I just go back to my app and I just go through Atlanta here. And now I'm down here by this Marietta, Blacksville, and let me see if I can find a place to stop. There we go. There's a place called the Kangaroo Pantry. That doesn't sound very inviting. There's a Shell that's actually paid parking. Let me go with this. Here's another Flying J. Here's a Flying J in Jacksonville, Georgia. Okay. So let me change this. So we're going to go to the Flying J in Jackson, Georgia. See if we can find that. Oh, I messed this all up. All right, so we're going from that pilot to Jackson, Georgia. Ta-da! Okay, so that's an hour and 33 minutes going through Atlanta in good traffic. All right. So let's take 2 hours to do this in our truck. So we're going to do at 9:30, which is 10:30 Eastern time. So this is going to work out perfect. That means that we're going to get to Atlanta right at 11 o'clock in the evening. So this is perfect, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to drive through Atlanta and we'll stop at midnight. And that will get us to Jackson, Georgia. Okay? And so now we got to figure out our numbers. First of all, let's sign this thing so I don't forget that. Let's put in our 572 miles. And we got to add up our numbers here, right? So just want to double check something, make sure I'm on the right screen. Bear with me. I want to be on this screen. So we got to add up our numbers here. Again, we're stopping here at 9:30 at night. There we go. We're stopping at 9:30 at night, Jackson. Excuse me. We're stopping at midnight. I'm getting myself confused. We started out at 9:30 p.m. We drove until midnight. We stopped in Jacksonville, Georgia. All right, now we got to figure out our numbers for the end of the day. So off duty, we've got 1 hour. That's simple. Sleeper berth, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hours in the sleeper berth. Driving, 1, 2, oops. Don't know how I did that. Driving, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half. Keep getting the wrong thing. 9.5 hours of driving. And then on duty, not driving, we only got a half hour. So, and that adds up to 24. So that's good. Happy about that. All right. So now on this next day, we've stopped at midnight. So we're starting our day here at midnight. I'll just start here. So this is Jackson, Georgia, right? My pen's not working right there, but who cares? All right. Now, sometimes when I do this, people say, well, why didn't you, if you went into the sleeper berth at 1:30, why didn't you just stay off for 10 hours and then start all over, okay? So if I went in at 1:30 and stayed for 10 hours, that would be 11:30 at night. Well, I'm not going to go into a sleeper berth at 1:30 in the afternoon, sleep until 11:30 at night, and then get up and start working and drive all through the night. I can't do that. Maybe when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I could do that, but I can't do that anymore. There's no way I'm going to be able to stay awake at night. No way I'm going to be rested enough stopping in the middle of the day like that. You know, the biorhythm of my little system is I go to bed between 10 and 10:30 at night, and I get up between 5:30 and 6 every morning. That's my routine. And if I try to change that routine, I'm not alert. I'm not safe enough to drive, and it will make me ill. So I'm not going to do that. But what I can do is what I just did. I can drive until midnight. I can do that, especially having this 8 hours of rest. All right. So what I'm going to do then is that I'm going to take 10 hours off now from midnight Central Time, which again is that is 1 a.m. Eastern Time. So I'm going to take my 10 hours off and start over in the morning all refreshed. So that's why I'm not doing 10 hours off and then driving. I'm doing 8 hours. And remember now, this pushes my 14-hour window, okay? So remember that we start at 5:30. So ordinarily, our 14-hour window is over at 7:30 at night. Well, what we did is we did 8 hours in the sleeper berth, all right? We stopped at 1:30 in the afternoon, and we spent 8 hours in the berth. What that does is it pushes this 8 hours down the road. So that pushed it to 3:30 in the morning. All right. So that's what allowed me to drive until between 9:30 and midnight. Because again, ordinarily the 14-hour window would have been off right here because that's 14 hours from right there. But this period of time here pushes that by 8 hours down the road. Okay. So that's the benefit of that 8-hour split. So it took that 7:30 time and then extended it back into 3:30 the next morning. Make sense? Okay. So this is a tool that you won't use very often. Okay, but it's a tool in your toolkit, so you need to be aware of its existence. I don't think that that this is going to come up too frequently in the type of work you're going to do it. But again, since it's there, I want you to be aware of it. Make sense? And remember, you know, once you're a part of our family here at Interstate Truck Driving School, if ever you have any questions, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call. I'll be more than happy to walk you through any of these scenarios down the road. You know, we want our customers to be good, safe drivers. And that holds true throughout your career. All right, so now let's go back and do our recap and see where we are, because that's the other important part of this exercise we're going to do is we're going to see how we use up our hours. So first day out, we started with 0, so we had 14 hours at the end of our first day, leaving us 56 available. So now our total on-duty hours today is only 10. So put 10 hours up here. So we add 10 to the 14 from the previous day, right? So that makes this 24. And then the number of hours available tomorrow then is going to be 46. Okay? All right. So again, what we're going to do here, we're in Jackson, Georgia. and we're going to take our 10 hours off. So I'm going to spend, I'm going to jump right in the sleeper berth until 8 a.m. And then I'm going to take a shower and get some exercise and take that extra 2 hours there because I got to take the full 10 hours off. And now I can start driving. Okay, and again, this is all still in the same location of Jackson, Georgia. All right. Here, let me type that in so we have it. Okay, so we got that. So now we'll do our pre-trip inspection for a quarter of an hour. Do that right there. And then we're gonna, we'll just add that in there. And now we're gonna drive. So we'll head out. We'll drive for several hours. We'll take our first in-route inspection there. We need another in-route inspection there. And then we'll do our half-hour break there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 hours of driving in. So we can drive for another 4 hours and 3/4, if my math is right here. So 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we can go one more quarter hour here. Oopsie. So that was our half-hour break. Now we'll go on duty. We'll fuel, so let's take a half hour to do that. We'll go up off duty for 3/4 of an hour. And then we'll go into the sleeper berth. All right. So I got to add up our hours again. Sign it. We'll put in our miles, truck number. Got to have all that stuff in there. Make sure I'm on the right screen here. Yep. Okay, so off duty. 1, 2, 3 1/4 if I've got my numbers right here. Sleeper berth, 8, 9, 10. Driving, I think I had 11, and then I got 3/4 of an hour here. So does that add up to 24? So 21. Well, that's too much, isn't it? 21. That's 25. So what have I got too long here? That's correct. I only had 10 hours of driving. Alright, well, rather than mess this all up, I'll just leave it at that. So now we've got 10.75 here. Come on, pen. There we go. We got to add that up to our 24 the last 2 days. So 10.75. So now we're at 34.75, which leaves us what? 35 1/4. Now the next day we're gonna get up. Let's see. We went off duty at 9 p.m. We went into the sleeper berth at 10. So sleeper berth, we can come out at 6. That gives us 8 hours in a sleeper berth. Another hour of off duty. Then we want to go on duty, we're going to fuel and do our inspection. And then we're going to hit the road. And then we're going to take our half-hour break. All these locations have to be identified. Take another break right here. We're going to be getting into Miami now on this third day out. So day 1, day 2, day 3. Day 1, day 2, day 3. We're in Miami already by now. Day 1, day 2, day 3. This gets us into Miami. And so, all right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm sorry. Let me fix this. We're in Miami. Pay attention here. So this day we're in Miami. Okay, so this was day 1. This was day 2. Got us just before Atlanta. So then from just the other side of Atlanta, we've driven into just north of Miami. Okay, so that's why we stopped. All right. So now we're going to get up in the morning and oh, wait a second. I can't do that. Did you catch that? I can't start until 7. So all these little mistakes I'm making here are actually good experience to realize that you got to pay attention to this stuff. All right, so this is where I can start my day. And let's say I only have to drive until 10 to get to where I'm going. I'll have to do my in-route inspection at some point. And now I am in Miami and I'm offloading my freight. And let's say they took a really long time to do that, which can happen. And so then from there, so this is all Miami. Right? From there, I'm going to drive out. I'll show you real quick on the map here. So from here, we drove to Miami. So remember, we stopped a little short. So we'll stop up here near Fort Lauderdale. And we got to stop a little shorter than that. We got to stop. Because we can only do about 600 miles in a day. So we're up by Port Lucie is where we stopped. Okay. We're on Florida's Turnpike there. So that's Port St. Lucie, right? So let me find our location where we're going to stop that night. Open a little app here. So there is Fort Pierce Service Plaza. Somewhere here. Find it real quick. So somewhere along here there's a service plaza. And you can, there's a Flying J. Well, let's go there. Heck with it. Let's go to there. Let's go to that Pilot Travel Center. All right. And then from there, we go into Miami to do our offloading. And now from here, now where we want to go, make my map. We're going to go out here someplace into Central Florida by the Lake Okeechobee somewhere and grab some strawberries. So we're going to go to a farm out here someplace. See all these nice farms? Okay. Um, so we're going to go out here to one of these farms and grab us some strawberries. See, there's a field right there, see? So that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to that farm right there. We're going to pick up some strawberries or something. All right? So that's what we're doing here at, we're going to leave at 4 in the afternoon. We're going to drive out 2 hours to get to that location. We got there at 6 in the evening, which is fine because our, again, this is Central Time, which is fine because our 14-hour window is open at 9. We'll take 2 hours to load up, and then we're going to drive an hour to where we're going to stop for the night, take a half hour off, a half hour to do post-trip and fuel, take a half hour there, and then go into the sleeper berth. So what's interesting about this day we're going to add up all these hours, okay? So here we were out in the fields. We'll find some place to stop for the night here. We didn't do a lot of driving. Let's see how many hours of driving we did. 1, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5. We only did 5.5 hours of driving, okay? We had a lot of time on duty not driving, though. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had 9 hours on duty not driving. We had 6, 7, 8 hours in the sleeper berth and an hour and a half off duty. So does that add up to 24? Yeah, that's 24. So we're good. All right, and now we got to we have to sign it. The name of the business, the address, our miles. We only did 5.5 hours of driving, so we didn't do but 285 miles. Okay, and now we got to do our recap. So from the day before, we had 34.75, and now we've got 14.5 to add to that, right? So 34.75 and 14.5. So it's 49.25, right? So that leaves 20 hours and 3/4 left. Now, day 1, day 2, day 3 is Miami, or get to Miami on the 4th day, offload, reload. So this is the 4th day out, and by the 4th day in our trip, we have used up 49.25 hours, okay? And that's part of what I'm intending to demonstrate here with this exercise is how quickly you lose these hours, all right? So again, we've got about 50 hours in these 4 days, right? And let's say we're taking these strawberries now to Houston, Texas, okay? So we have gone into the sleeper berth at 10 in the evening. So we can come out at what time? 6, because that's 8 hours there. We went off duty at, let's make sure I got the right screen up here. I don't. We went off duty at 9:30, which means we can come back to work at 7:30. So then we got to go up here for an hour and a half. Now, I don't know exactly where we are, but let's say, for the sake of discussion, we're heading to Houston, so we went up and we joined the turnpike up here. and we found us a place to stop on the turnpike for the night up here. So we want either a truck stop or a rest stop. Okay, I think there's one just to the west of Orlando here. Memory serves me right. So there's Orlando. Pretty sure there's a travel center right in here somewhere. And again, this is an exercise in trip planning. Figuring out where you are going to stop this truck. You don't pull it over. Let me go back to my app because I think this is important that you realize that that this technology is out there for you. Okay. Just hit the wrong button. Sorry. So I want to go up. Yeah, there's a Florida Turnpike, and it's where I thought. See if I can find it on my map here. So it's right after. It's right in here. There it is, right there. That's the Turkey Lake Service Plaza. Okay, so you see how that worked? I didn't put that on there. There it is on the Google map. Okay, right there outside of Orlando. So using this application is really beneficial to figuring out where you're going to make these stops. And part of what's nice about this app is that other truckers will update it and tell you how many parking spaces are available. Okay, so that's where we are. We're just outside of Orlando when we stopped here on that previous night. Okay, so we're in Orlando here. Service Plaza. Okay. And now we're going to do our routine. We're heading for Houston, Texas. So we do a half-hour pre-trip, make our math simple. We don't want to drive that far. I don't want to drive that far without my brake. I'll take my brake right there. So at this point, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of driving in. I'm going to stop, taking our little break. So I got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half. So I can drive to right there. Take a shower, hit the sack. Okay? So I've got to identify all of these locations. Got to add in a couple of en-route inspections. Sign the thing, or do 600 miles this day. All right, so let's add up our numbers here. Off duty, we've got a bunch of hours off duty here. We got 4 hours off duty. Sleeper berth 8. Driving, I think I figured that out to be 11. And then on duty, not driving is 1. Does that add up? That's 12. Yep, perfect. 24. So we've got to add up or recap. We got a 12-hour day, then we add to the 49-hour day, right? So now we're at 61 and a quarter because we got a 12-hour day here, 61 and a quarter. So how many hours do we have available the next day? We do not have a full day available. And again, this is a big part of this exercise that we're doing right now. I want you to understand how this works. We're running out of hours here, okay? Now we were going, check my screen, make sure that I'm in the right place here. No, I want to go here. Okay, so you see that? We did 12 hours today. We added up the 12 hours to the 49.25 we had from yesterday, so that puts us at 61 and a quarter, leaving us 8 hours and 3/4 for tomorrow. All right. All right. Now let's go to our map. We have gone from Orlando, and we've gone about 600 miles, right? Find my rest stop again here. So there's my rest stop. Turkey Lake Service Plaza. And let's see how far we can get in 600 miles, all right? So what we're doing is we're heading for Houston. So obviously we're going up this direction. So let's see, just for the sake of discussion, let's say in Pensacola, just to see how far that is. Okay. Well, that's 422 miles, so we can get further than that, right? So we can probably get, let's go for Biloxi, Mississippi. Let's see how far that is. 543 miles. We can get a little further than that. So you know where we're going to get, y'all? We're going to get pretty near to New Orleans here. So let me go to my app and find a location near New Orleans to stop our truck here, okay? Well, there's a Walmart Supercenter that allows truck parking in Dolphin, and that's, maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. It's Daphne. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dolphin, Alabama. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put Dolphin, Alabama in here. Fix the rest of this. Well, that's still only 484 miles. What's the deal here? Oh, because I'm not in New Orleans. I'm sorry. I didn't go far enough on my little app. There we go. Let's go. Here's a place called Rest with RV Dump. So in other words, it's a rest stop. But it's Slidell, Louisiana. Slidell, Louisiana. So we're going to change this. Now we've got 600 miles. Okay? So that's where we're going. We're going to go to Slidell, Louisiana. There's a rest stop there just north of New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay? So that's where we ended up. We left Orlando and went to Slidell, Louisiana. Just want to double check my math here. Yep. All right. Okay, so now we have to stay in the berth until 6 in the morning. But let me ask you something. The next day, we're going to have 8.75 miles, 8.75 hours to go. We're going from here to Houston, Texas. How long is it going to take us to get to Houston? Let's find out. So that is only 5 hours away. So that's going to work out pretty good. I'm kind of surprised by my math here. But that's going to work out perfect then, isn't it? So then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take our 34-hour reset in Houston once we get there. So that's going to work out pretty good. But let me ask you this. If you were going further than Houston, let's say that we were trying to get to El Paso, we wouldn't be able to get to El Paso in that amount of time. Let's change that. So El Paso would take us 15 hours to get to. Well, obviously can't make that in 8 hours. So then my question to you would be, if you can't make El Paso from Seidel, Louisiana, where would you want to stop to do your reset? Now you could stop in Houston there, right? But what are you going to do in Houston? Yeah, there's Houston. I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, how cool would it be to stop back here in just outside of New Orleans and maybe grab a Uber and go down to the French Quarter? Okay, just saying. So the point of this little exercise is that if I was going to Houston, I can make that, do my 34-hour reset in Houston, which is a day and a half off, and then I can take off on my next dispatch. Or if I was going further, then I might consider where am I going to stop, because it really isn't a matter if I stop ahead of time and then get to El Paso. So you have to strategize that. You got to think about where you want to make this 34-hour stop. I ran into a guy one time that was at a rest stop down in Lake City, Minnesota on Highway 61, right alongside the Mississippi River. Beautiful place to stop, but he spent a day and a half there. I wouldn't want to spend a day and a half in a rest stop. Now, this is a rest stop that I've chosen to stop in Louisiana, but I'm going to be able to get, somehow or another, I'll get from there. Actually, because what did I do? I stopped at yeah, it's a rest stop. But I can get an Uber or something and get down into New Orleans, leave my truck at the rest stop or something. I'd probably have to come up with something a little better than a rest stop, maybe a truck stop or something. But I'm sure there's a Walmart Supercenter right there. I can go there, okay? So that's my point, is that you think about where you're going to make these stops and where you're going to spend all of this time to not only make it proficient, but make it palatable. And what some people do on that 34-hour reset is they'll grab a motel for one night. So that might be a possibility too, is go to a motel, park there. That way you've got nice clean sheets, and you can do your laundry there at the motel. So people do that pretty frequently too when they're running over the road like that. So let's go back to our log though, and just for the sake of discussion, the original idea was we were going to go to Houston. So let's go to Houston and complete that. So we can come out of the berth at 6, and then we can drive at 6:15. So we're in the sleeper berth till 6, off duty for a half hour. We're in Seidel, Louisiana. We'll go do our, we'll do a half hour to make the math simple. We'll drive for 4 hours there. We go back to our map. I'm going to change this to Houston, which was my original plan. So again, that's going to take me 5.25 hours in a car, so about 6.5 in a truck, which will work out perfect with the hours that we have available for the next day, because we have 8.75. So we'll take a little break here. get to Houston at 1 in the afternoon. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, 6. We got 6 hours. So it takes us an hour to unload, and then we drive to where we're going to spend our reset at 3, and now we're going off duty. Okay. Oops. Put all the lines in here. So again, we were in Sidell, Louisiana. Now we're in Houston, Texas. Okay. Let's see. We drove. How far did we say it was? 362 miles. So we put that up here. Sign it. ITDS 499 billion. And then we got to fill out our hours here at the end here. So off duty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours off duty. Driving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half. On duty, not driving. 1 and a half. I just put that in the wrong place. Sleeper berth 6 hours even. And then on duty, not driving, an hour and a half. Does that add up? Yep, so that's my 24 hours. So my recap at the end of the day here then, 8 hours goes up here, which works out perfectly with what I had available. I had 8.75. So now I'm at 69.75. So I've done this right to the T. Total hours available tomorrow, 1/4 of an hour. See how that works? Okay. So this is important you understand that we run out of time when we work hard. We have gone, how many days do we do this here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and we're out of time. Okay? So on the 6th day, we're not running 7 days, we're on 6 days. The 6th day, we're going to take a day off. We're going to go off duty for 34 hours. Okay? So that means the next day we're going to stay off duty the entire time. We went off at 3 in the afternoon, so that means we've taken, so that was 9 hours, there's 24, so that's 33 hours. We can actually come back to work on the 9th right here. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go back to work at 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not doing that. Okay. So let's get rid of that sucker. So I'm going to stay off duty. Oopsie. It's back where it belongs. So on this day, I'll come back to work at 6 in the morning. Okay. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. So day 7, I'm off the whole day. That day I'm the afternoon's all off, and then I come back to work. What would be the 8th day? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So I come back to work on the 8th day. So the way I've got these dates, 11/2 is actually a Tuesday, but if that were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then back to work on Monday. Okay? So that works out pretty well. Okay? So hopefully you understand how we do this split stuff. And hopefully you understand from this exercise that we have these limits that we run up against, especially when we're working 12, 13, 14-hour days. And so that's what truck drivers are dealing with, is that after a 5 or 6 day period of time, you run out of time, you got to figure out a place to stop for 34 hours, reset your clock at 0, and then you can start off again. Okay? All right, so now what we're going to do in this next segment, we're going to get into exceptions. There's a lot of exceptions from the rules. So we're going to go over that. We've got a really good guide to show you on that. So let's take our 10-minute break, and we'll see you back here in 10 minutes, and we will continue this discussion. Okay?